Now, no Palestinian, because most Palestinians, 99.9% of Palestinians, are either Christian or Muslim. Both groups of people believe that there is Jewish history inside of Palestine. Nobody denies that. Not even Hamas, which you guys can't even pronounce Hamas. They don't even deny that there is Jewish history inside of Palestine, right?
Many of them do, absolutely.
No, they do not. Because if they did, they would be blaspheming the Islamic religion and they would be blaspheming the Christian religion, because Christianity recognizes the children of Israel and Islam recognizes.
You're giving me commentary.
No.
What's your question?
He's giving you a history lesson, something you need.
What's your question?
Okay, so the question I'm going to ask you is, what is Jew in ethnicity or is it a religion?
Good question. All right, good. Now we got a good question.
Okay.
So this is something people get confused by a lot.
Very confusing.
People get confused by a lot. They say, well, what is Judaism, right? Judaism is really, it's sort of unique because most religions, like let's say Catholicism, right? Catholic, right? Most religions are just a religion, right? You can go and learn about Catholicism, you can take classes on how to become a good Catholic, and you'll convert, and it's a religion, right? Judaism is pretty unique because it is both. It is both. It is a religion, but it is also an ethnicity.
So I have a question. If I do a DNA test,
So to finish the question, it is, and this is important for people to understand. Judaism is both. It's not just a religion. It's a religion and an ethnicity, a race.
I am so glad you brought up that point.
However you want to.
I am so glad you brought up that point. My last name is Shuaib. So before I get into this point. So you just admitted that it is possible for someone to leave the faith of Judaism and still be considered a Jew. Yes or no? Okay. So
because Judaism, you're
be careful now.
Right?
Be careful now. So someone can leave the fold of Judaism and still be considered a Jew. So based off of your definition of what a Jew is, all Palestinians are Jews, and dare I say more Jewish than Ashkenazi Jews, than Mizrahi Jews.
DNA test.
Because if you're going to tell me that being a Jew is an ethnicity, but also simultaneously a religion, it is both, correct? Okay, that it is simultaneously both. That means that someone can say, I reject the message of the Torah, I am an atheist, or I am leaving Judaism, and you would still consider them a Jew. So based off of your definition of what a Jew is, the Muslims the Jews that 2,000 years ago were living in the kingdom of Canaan, which then became the kingdom of Israel, which then became the kingdom of Israel, which is, wait a second, which is different.
Not Ashkenazi Jews, my ancestors, not your ancestors.
Yes, I agree. No. The Philistia, which is what the Philistine, which is where the name Palestine comes from.
No, it's not
the kingdom of Israel.
Palestine come from?
Philistia.
Before it was called Philistine, it was called Canaan. It was called Canaan. Stop playing with the words.
Who changed the name to Palestine?
Not the Romans. No,
Not the
that's
Romans.
a Zionist. That's a Zionist
Oh,
myth.
that's a Zionist
myth.
Again, the Philistines before the Roman Empire.
Before Islam, before Al-Aqsa.
I agree.
Before
Yes.
all of that was
Yes.
the Jewish temple.
And before the Jews, who was there before the Jews?
We have historical.
Right.
We have historical ties.
We're not denying that.
Right. No one's denying that.
We're
So
getting off track.
the point that I was trying to
you're
make.
talking about Jewish versus.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the people that were living in Philistine, the people that were then living, in the kingdom of Israel, first Canaan, then kingdom of Israel, Judea, which is including Judea, Samaria, and then Philistine, which was around the same time, but yes, the kingdom of Israel was there first. Now, over time, did those people that considered themselves Jews convert to Christianity when Jesus came? Yes. And then
few converted. Very few.
over the course of 2,000 years,
Very few. Very few. Are you kidding? Very few.
very few converted. Very few. Okay, regardless of whether.
But what's your point? I want to hear your point.
Okay, so over the course of those 2,000 to 3,000 years, some of those Jews converted from Judaism to Christianity and then to Islam.
Okay.
Now, some of the Jews, the self-identifying Jews that did the first and second aliyahs, were not necessarily religious Jews.
Right.
They saw themselves as ethnically Jewish, right? Okay, so based off of your definition of Jew, how come Palestinians are not considered Jewish?
Palestinians don't consider themselves to be Jewish.
Right, but that doesn't. No. That doesn't matter. I'm not going off of what Palestinians self-identify as. I'm going off of because you're saying that Jews are indigenous to Judea.
So to be a Jew, it's very simple. There's two ways to become Jewish. Number one, if your mother's is Jewish, you're Jewish. It goes by the mom in Judaism. So if your mom is Jewish, you're Jewish. It's kind of like...
That's a self-defeating argument, though, because if someone's father is Jewish, right, so then you're saying that, so you're saying that Judaism is a religion, that it's not an ethnicity.
It's both, let me say.
Right, but the way that ethnicity works is it doesn't go by belief system. Ethnicity goes by, regardless of whether it's your mom or your dad, you're still Jewish.
Absolutely, and we can do DNA tests and all of that.
Right, which in Israel you need a court order to get that, but whatever.
Where do you think, Judaism, again, if you trace my ancestry back, right? Okay, I'm an American, born in New York, etc. My grandparents were born in Brooklyn. Great-grandparents came from Russia. But if you keep tracing it back, right, eventually I go back to Spain. So my family came through Spain. Now in 1492, the Spanish expelled the Jews from Spain. But originally, where did Jews come from?
From the kingdom of Israel.
Yes! So we are the indigenous people of that land. That is what I am saying.
Well, before the kingdom of Israel, they were living in Babylon, but...
the indigenous people of that land. We didn't come from Poland.
No. Yes.
We didn't come from Russia.
I agree with you. Yes.
We wound up there.
Because there was a Jewish expulsion. There was 2 Jewish expulsions. Yes. No one is denying that.
So we're agreeing on a lot here.
Yes, we are agreeing on a lot.
What are we disagreeing?
What we're disagreeing on is Jews, because when people like over the course of those 2,000 to 3,000 years, there was a Jewish expulsion that went into Europe, but a lot of the people that were in Europe were also converts over those 2,000 years. No, it's not. Yes, I understand that. I understand that Judaism is a non-proselytizing. I understand that Judaism is a non-proselytizing religion. That's fine, but the people that founded the Zionist movement weren't religiously Jewish. Okay.
Like I said, it's both. It's both.
So wait,
but you're still Jewish whether you're religious or not.
Right. So how come the Palestinians aren't considered Jews then? Because if Palestinians were to take a DNA test, you would find out that they're Jewish.
Let me answer.
Even though they don't identify as Palestinian.
I love it. Good question. It's a good question. If you could find like a Palestinian family, and it would be somehow you could like show that they're great. Let's say you, I don't know. Let's just say for sake of argument, if we found out that your great-great-grandmother was Jewish. You didn't know, but like let's say we just found out tomorrow, oh my God, we went on Ancestry.com or whatever, and like your great-great-grandmother was Jewish. Guess what? You're Jewish. Done. Done.
But why can't you go back
But because
to
I identify as Muslim.
You could identify as Muslim. You could pray 5 times. Let me finish. This is such a good question. You could pray 5 times a day. You could identify as anything you want. If we find out that your great-great-grandmother was Jewish, you're Jewish. Done. Finished. So we're not arguing. It goes.
No, we are because
it's matrilineal
more
descent.
than 90%. Wait a second. You went back to, so you keep flip-flopping, and I understand that it's not to a fault of yourself, but it's because of the definition of you're applying to what Judaism is. You're simultaneously applying it to ethnicity, but also to religion, and where you're getting stuck is you keep jumping and going from if on your mom's side you're Jewish, if on your mom's side you're Jewish, but that's not how ethnicity works. Because if we go back 3,000 years ago, let's say if we go back 3,000 years, you have to go through your maternal parents to see lineage to the kingdom of Israel, right? Or what we would call Palestine, right? Or what others would call Canaan. It depends on what moment of time we're talking about, right?
Sure, yeah.
But if I look at my lineage and I keep going back, it ends up being my father. We're both just as indigenous, but so that's the dictionary definition of what indigenous is. So that's what ethnically means. You cannot flip-flop like a lot of Zionists do between ethnicity and between religion. And religion does not make you ethnic to where you live. That's just physically impossible.
So let me just say this. Zionism, you keep saying Zionism to me is not a dirty word.
It is a dirty word. I'll explain it to you.
Zionism just means the idea.
Let me tell you something.
Wait. But the definition.
Let me send it. It just means, again, you keep saying the word Zionism like I'm going to be a...
A swastika is a symbol of peace. A swastika is a symbol of peace. Is it okay if I wear a swastika on my shirt?
Can I just finish? Zionism is just the idea that the Jewish people have a right to live safely and securely in their ancient homeland of Israel.
The founder of Zionism.
That is a beautiful thing. It is a good thing.
I agree.
That's all Zionism means.
That's not what
you make
Zionism
it sound
means.
like it's this like.
That's not what Zionism means.
I don't know, some kind of horrible.
That's not what Zionism means.
That's
not. Who was the founder of Zionism? Who created the term Zionism?
What does that have to do with anything?
Because that's
you're
where
saying you're a
Zionist. Theodore Herzl, an atheist
Wait,
Zionist.
خليه يحكي. Who created Zionism?
Save time. Bullshit.
Was Herzl a believer in the Torah?
Herzl was not a religious man.
Okay, stop right there. I'm so
Again,
glad you wait, let me make
That's like a person that has no father, says I have a father, but he promised me Palestine, he promised me money.
Based off of what you're saying, you have no right to connect the ideology of Zionism to Judaism.
Absolutely. Why not?
No, because the founder of Zionism is not a religious Jew. I hope that when everybody goes home, it is so important for allies of Palestine. A lot of professors on CUNY, even on the Palestinian side, will say, "Oh, you should not have a conversation with Zionists. You should not have a conversation with even Jews sometimes because they're always out to get you." No, you have a responsibility that if you guys are willing to have the energy to come out and protest, to go home and educate yourself. Palestinians are not against the Jewish right of return. We are not against this ideology that Jews have to be kicked out. No, bil'aks, it's the exact opposite.
If we live under Sharia
Muslims will tell you when Umar ibn al-Khattab came, there was no Jews living in Jerusalem because the Christians killed all of them. The Byzantines killed all of them. Umar ibn al-Khattab told his Jewish companion that converted to Islam, he said, "Go back to Saudi Arabia. I want you to get me 80 Jewish families and bring them to Jerusalem." Because why? Because why? Because Jerusalem is not complete without the Jews. Who said that? An Arab.
All right.
The same Arabs that only can live in open sewage.
Can I reply?
So that's basically what I'm trying to say.
Let's get it very simple. I asked him a simple question. And by the way, I appreciate that he stood here with me and had this discussion. And I hope that we can have more of these. I think dialogue is good. I tell my students all the time, get a diversity of ideas.
Do you agree that Israel is committing war crimes?
I do not support killing innocent people. I would not agree that Israel is committing war crimes. I think war is hell. Hamas unleashed hell on the Palestinian people on October 7th. And if you care about the Palestinian people, you should call on Hamas to immediately surrender, immediately release all hostages, and there would be peace.
So bombing hospitals, bombing schools, killing over 100 journalists, those aren't war crimes?
Bombing hospitals intentionally is a war crime. I do not believe the IDF is intentionally bombing hospitals. I also think it's a war crime to currently, right now, as I'm speaking, 130 people who were kidnapped from their homes, from their beds, from their houses, from their children kidnapped from their cribs are sitting in dungeons now, Hamas dungeons. Release the hostages. If you care about peace, if you want there to be peace, release the hostages. Call on Hamas to immediately and unconditionally surrender, and this can all stop. Also, ask Egypt to open the southern border so that injured children can get into
Israel
Egypt.
Controls the border.
Israel does not control the Egyptian border.
Controls the food, the water.
Not the Egyptian border. Egypt controls the southern border of Gaza.
And the IDF actually killed their hostages.
Why won't Egypt let anyone in to... Why won't Egypt open the border?
Why should Palestinians have to leave their home?
It's called a war. When there's a war, people leave.
No,
Ukraine, of course they should be allowed to come back.
War is not bombing hospitals. War is not bombing schools.
I agree,
and innocent
and we
civilians.
should not. And I don't believe they're doing that. I believe that in a war, innocent people get killed.
When you kill 30,000 people and injure over 70,000, that's not a war.
More Germans
genocide.
were killed in World War II than Brits or Americans, right? More German citizens were killed in World War II. Does that mean Germany was in the right? Yeah, we bombed them, exactly. And war is hell. And war is hell. And war is hell. War is hell.
Listen, I've been to war, and I know what it is.
When you
let me ask you this.
When you taking pictures with women's lingerie and stuff and publishing it and flexing like it's funny, that shows that there's something psychologically
let me ask you this. In Yemen, 90,000 children have been deliberately starved to death in Yemen. Where were the protests? Where were the protests? No, not like this. Not like this. 90,000 children were starved to death by the Saudi government. I'm talking to everyone here because you're listening.
It's because there's an issue.
Right. Were you protesting it?
Hold on 1 second.
No.
Yes, I was. Anyway.
Where were you protesting? Yes.
I constantly educate people that is a form of protest, but as I was saying before, it's because the media is limited so that it works into your favor because this country sends billions of our dollars yearly to them.
We also send billions to Egypt, and we send billions to Ukraine, and we send a lot of money to Taiwan. Yeah, Ukraine,
billions
Taiwan.
a year to Egypt.
Absolutely.
It's not billions.
Yes, it is.
Last time I recalled.
Look it up.
Yeah, I might have to fact check that.
Fact check it. It's billions. We send billions. But going back to Egypt, call on Egypt to open up that border. Let children who are
Why, so
injured.
they can't return back to
No,
the
of course they should be
homeland?
able to return. But look, when Russia,
Jews
when
can make Aliyah that are
when,
from
when
Long
Russia,
Island, but a
when
Palestinian whose
Russia,
family's been
when
kicked
Russia
out can't
invaded
return.
Ukraine, when Russia invaded Ukraine, right? Poland took in something like 2 million Ukrainian refugees. 2 million Ukrainian
How about
refugees
when-
are in
how
Poland.
about- how about when
But
Palestinians went to Lebanon
Egypt
and, they were
keeps that door
murdered?
shut tight. Egypt keeps their border closed. They don't want one
Why? You're trying to
Palestinian
prove a point.
coming
What's
in.
your
My
point you're
point
trying to
is you're blaming Israel for everything,
Because
but if you
Israel's
care
the one
about
dropping bombs, yes,
Palestinian
so yes, we're
children,
blaming them.
tell Egypt to open up their border. We're done. Yeah, we're pretty much just kind of. We had a good conversation with some of the students. Let Egypt open up that southern border. Let some of those injured kids get into Egypt and get
But why
medical
are the kids
attention.
injured? But why are the kids injured?
Yes, and if Israel and the bombing would stop, if they would release the hostages, I think this would all stop. Release those hostages.
Why Hamas didn't
Tell
do
Hamas
not
to
about the
surrender.
hostages.
It's not about the.
No.
They're sitting in dungeons right now, man. They're sitting in dungeons.
Israel is killing them, bombing them.
They are the
They were
They
government.
shot
kidnapped
at
out of their
them.
beds. They were kidnapped out of their
And it
homes.
is
They're
due
sitting
to
in
the
dungeons.
government.
Today is
And
day
Palestinians
150.
Palestinians are
Whoever's
killed
watching
and
this, today is day
kidnapped in the West
150.
Bank also.
How much was it? 14
Do you know how many Palestinian hostages are being held in Israeli
Were
prisons?
little children pulled out of their beds
Little
in the middle of
children
the
are
night?
shot at and killed in the
Pulled
West
out of their
Bank.
beds? What about the 130 hostages that are being held right now?
You're non-indigenous.
Right
You
now.
know this didn't
Right
start
now.
on October 7th, right?
I don't live in the
See, now that's offensive. All right, I'm
And you
done.
claim ties to Israel.
You don't feel bad about 130 hostages being held right now? So call. I feel horrible about that. Call on Hamas. Call on Hamas to release the hostages and to surrender. Being treated very well. Oh, get out. No, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. You think they're being treated well by Hamas? I'm done with you. You're not worth. He's not worth. Because you're not worth my time.
Oh, big man. I guarantee you I make more money.